All right, live action. We are live. What's going on? Justin's dancing in the corner. How's everybody doing? We got the Giants guys, the New York Giants rush guys. Craig Santucci, Pilgrim's Point, Mr. Glass Hassful, Mr. Glass Assful, or something like that. Mr. Spiro.
Well, that's his new name now.
We got the Giants guys, man. It's been too long. It's been too long. Craig, I tried to do something with you last summer. You blew me off. You were in Europe or something. I'll send it to you, Craig. What's going on, my man?
Well, you know, it's 2020. Anytime you get Eddie Van Halen and Sean Connery die in 1 year, it's a terrible year. We're rolling snake eyes every day, and now Bradbury's not playing. So what can I tell you? I'm looking for something good.
No, this has been a day. We're usually, try to be positive people. We just recorded our preview pod. People can check it out in the morning.
It was a mess.
It was just negative. I even had like I miss Pat Shurmur moment. That's how you know it's bad. It's brutal.
Yeah, that could be a little bit brutal. And as fans, it's been a great couple weeks. We had a little hiccup here with the Cardinals. We're going to bounce back. I got some good feelings because the defense is strong, but it sure beats being, 1-9 or 1-10.
9 games in a row last year was brutal. I was like, I want to quit.
Yep.
Pilgrim's Point. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, man. I'm just living the dream over here, getting very little sleep. But
new baby.
We're talking since I started covering the Giants for Craig and NY Giants Rush. The Giants have been so bad. So we had those 5 weeks where the Giants have been good, and now we're back to earth a little bit. But I still love it. Even to have 4 or 5 weeks of being happy and just having positive conversations is worth it. We were well overdue for that.
Oh yeah, it felt good. I'm sure we all saw it. It's like, man, numbers are a lot better when we're winning. People like that. So glad Jeff's on. And then Spiro, Mr. Glass Half Full. What's going on, man?
Sir. Not much, man. Listen, we're just getting by over here. We're first of all, I want to say first time, long time listener of your podcast, and just glad to be on and trying to get by these last 3 games, man. We're trying to hang tight, see if we can win 2 out of 3, and again, Mr. Glass NFL trying to hope 2 out of 3. Well, listen, 6-10 is not going to get it done. The way the Redskins are playing, I'm kind of worried right now. Eagles are hanging around too, so it's looking grim. But listen, we're seeing upward progress, so I'm happier than I usually am.
I'm good. And I'll tell the listeners, I'm a long time with you guys as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, when it was just Craig and John Fenley and the Giants guys, I used to listen to you guys. I go way back with the Giants guys. Maybe like a year and a half since I've been doing this. I scouted the competition. I listened to every Giants podcast, and there were 2 that I was like, okay, I can actually listen to these every week and not just to see who we're going up against. And Craig was one of those. So we'll take some questions. First, I want to tell the people in the chat, I just put a link. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. To their YouTube channel. They do a weekly podcast. They do good stuff on Twitter. You can follow them on Twitter and all that good stuff.
What I want to ask, this is going to be my first question, Bobby. I'm stealing the show. I'm sure you
and Justin Penix here.
You stole a bunch of. I'm sure you thought of a bunch of nice questions to ask the Giants rush guys. But here's something that I want to ask, kind of start off the show and to get us cooking here. You guys interview superstars, like legends of the New York Giants. You interview them. You interview them often. And you tell a whole bunch of fun stories. What is a story that sticks out to you guys that one of the players or one of the famous people that you've had on the show? What is a story that sticks out to you that's funny, that's dramatic, that makes you want to cry, that makes you want to cry tears of joy? Something to share with everybody here.
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't speak for them two, but there's two specific stories that always jump out at me. Is that when we interviewed Dave Tolleson, we went on for 20 minutes about how PC do I have to be on the show?
Go for it. We don't believe in that.
All right. So Dave's talking about dick punching Tom Brady.
That was classic.
And I didn't expect it, and he's like, well, how do you complain in the Super Bowl? He's like, we won. He's like, I wanted to say that's my sack, and you just gave it to to talk. He's like, but it's the Super Bowl. What am I supposed to do?
And he got outclassed.
Yeah, and he was genuine because he was just like, look, I just and he's like, find the picture of me dick punching Tom Brady. He's like, I whacked him. He was going down. He's like, and I didn't get credit for it. He's like, but we won the Super Bowl. He's like, it was unexpected, and then the other story, and I'll let you guys jump in, is probably the most coolest thing I heard was we had Rich Seibert on last week. Coolest thing ever. Hardest position to play on the line is left guard. And he broke it down so simple. He's like, deal? He's got help from the running back and the tight end. He's like, O'Hara always slides to Chris Snead and helps his sorry ass out. He's like, so there I am all by myself. He's like, left guard, hardest position to play on the line. So I was like, yeah. I'm like, so true, because we're always like, oh, left guard. You got always help on the left side and the right side, right? How often do we go crazy about the left tackle being the hardest position? Well, according to Rich Seibert, it's the left guard.
And that guy played everywhere.
Happened to be his position, yeah.
I interviewed Sorbert a couple years ago. I'll be honest, I was a bad interviewer, so I was just asking him bland questions, and he just answered them bland. So it sounds like you guys got a lot more fun out of him.
Well, Bobby, what happens every single time is the first half hour is all business. We're talking about Giants. And then as we get to know each other through the interview, then the stories start to come out. And like, I think both times we stayed on for 20 or 30 minutes for stuff they didn't want to say on the air. I think Rich and Chris Snee used to puke together before every game. That was a ritual. I think my favorite was Lawrence Tynes talking about, because I always wondered, I mean, that Green Bay field goal was so clutch, especially after missing his last two attempts, to have the balls to just run out there without Coughlin making decisions. I had to ask him about that. And he broke it down in the most real way. He was like, if I don't go out there, I just missed 2 field goals in playoff game. If we don't win this game, I'm cut. Like, my career is probably over. He's like, kicking in the NFL is awesome. The money's good. Like, he was just the most real answer. He's like, if I don't go out there and give it a shot, I'm done. So I may as well go. If I'm going to be done anyway, may as well go out and give it a shot. And man, that worked out for him.
Yeah, it's been fun. The guys are really cool. They start off a little rigid, just talking football, and they realize that I'm not grilling them on stats. I'm not holding them to anything. And I'm just like, look, man, the Giants guys are like sitting at the bar. We're sitting at the bar. Hey, does this really happen or whatever? Like, that kind of a thing. And then, as Jeff alluded to, usually when we turn the mic off, they usually hang on. Like, we've gotten pretty friendly with Lawrence, and
Tynes is a good interview.
Yeah, and then when the mic
he does not give a shit about anything.
He's like watching football. He's like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this guy?" Like, he's just talking. Like, they're, the only one that's turned me down flat for an interview was Terrell Thomas. He was like, "No, thank you." And I was like, I've had some fortunate to, make some acquaintances with your teammates. And Tolvison turns around and then says to Roll, Ballard, and what do you call it? Diassi. He's like, it's one of the best podcasts out there, guys. You guys should jump on. You'll have fun. So we try to have fun,
For sure.
And I appreciate you guys, listening and supporting.
Of course. Tollison's actually he was the first member of the Talking Giants Ring of Honor. So he's the owner of our worst shirt, where we literally it's the Talking Giants logo, and then it has a bunch of rings that say honor all around it, and then a name on the back. Like, we only made it just to send him it, so it's good.
Cool.
So
dick punch. The
chat is getting lit up. Let's talk about the Giants. And this is what is being talked about right now. It's what it'll always be talked about. The quarterback. The quarterback is what will always be talked about. Always going to be, hotly debated. Coming off of a bad game, I was actually kind of pissed off that they let him play in the second half after having that bum ankle. When I found out, I was fine with him playing. I was fine with him playing through injury, and then I found out he injured the ankle in the second quarter, and I'm like, you guys let him go out there like that, like on no good legs, like let alone one good leg, no good legs. So, Spear, I'll send it to you. And, I don't need you to give me some 20-minute analysis, but like, what are your thoughts on Daniel Jones year 2? or just Daniel Jones as a whole, if this is where it ends, and just just say he misses these next 3 games?
Yeah, well, it's hard to give him a good grade. Year one, I was like, okay, this is our guy. Like I was 95% in. Now I've taken a step back to about like 75%. I still see flashes of good stuff out there. Like the whole Tampa Bay game, it was bad, and then he comes back with that last drive. I'm like, this is the guy. Like you saw these flashes, but he's banged up now for a second year in a row. That's a mark against him for me. You need your quarterback out there. But the weapons he has in this offense and the offensive coordinator, which my man Justin has has gone the length about. I don't know if it's fair to judge him and really say this isn't our guy. And then when you look at the free agent class of quarterbacks next year, it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. And we're not going to be high enough to pick a good quarterback. So, in my opinion, you keep the cheap contract next year. You roll through it with a better weapon, better supporting cast around him. Maybe get him a competent coordinator, and you have to run it back one more year, in my opinion. That's
all right.
The way it goes.
Jeff, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, he's definitely the guy for, I think, his rookie contract. And I mean, we've talked about it so much, the weapons and the coordinator and the play calling. Like, he's been dealt a pretty tough hand. He was dealt a franchise that is rebuilding and trying to get on the up again. And thank God for some offensive linemen coming together, finally giving a little protection, getting a running game going. He started to protect the ball. And then obviously last week was a step backwards again, which is going to happen. I wish I was more confident in him. I'm a little bit harder on him than I think most fans are, because, you see guys like Herbert and other guys go out there and, the Chargers, I think, are 2-7 or something like that with Herbert. Yet I don't think there's a Chargers fan that doesn't doubt that that's their guy for a decade or more. And Giants fans are still split because we get the good and the bad. You can't turn the ball over. He does it a lot. But he's obviously got the physical gifts. Mentally, I hope he starts to turn the page, process things. But again, it's double-edged sword, because get him some weapons, get him a better system, he will succeed like most quarterbacks would. So I'm still on the fence, but I'm supporting him. He's my guy. He's our guy for at least, I think, 2 more years. I think he's going to get the whole rookie deal and see what it is from there. But he's our Giants quarterback, so I'm running with him.
I'll jump in and then send it to Craig. And this is where I liked him at coming out of Duke. I'm not going to go into why I liked him, but not going to give you the whole spiel, but I liked him. And then the rookie season last year was awesome. It was awesome. He was on pace for the rookie touchdown record. And Jeff, you mentioned Justin Herbert, and Herbert's playing right now, so he's playing his 13th game. But through 12 games, they're both 3-1. They're both QBs that had 3 wins. Herbert had 25 touchdowns. Jones had 24. The interceptions, Jones 12, Herbert 10. So the raw stats are pretty much the same. Jones has the more fumbles, and I know I'll probably get hate for this, but am I crazy for saying, when I look at this young QB, that the fumbles I don't really take those into account. If the fumbles are the deciding fact, I don't think the fumbles to me will never be a deciding factor. They just won't. One, he has gotten better at this year. He did have the 3 fumble game. The first one, I gave a pretty big rant about that one. And then the other 2, if both legs are hurt and he's being tackled and trying to protect his legs, it kind of makes sense that he let go of the ball. But anyways, he had cut them over in half. And I look at, like you said, processing, going through the field. And I've been totally pissed off the way they moved on from Shermer. Okay? They did. Why the hell did they not bring in somebody who does the similar things to Shermer? It just blows my mind that they brought in Garrett, and I hate this offense so much. And I talked about it on Wednesday's podcast. I feel like I haven't learned anything about him in year 2.
Yeah,
so
that's the big thing. That's the big thing, and that's what I was gonna bring up next, Bob. And I was gonna, that's your point. But really, when you take a look back at Daniel Jones' season, and that's what you really have to do. You have to kind of take a step back, get out of the mindset of, week in, week out. But when evaluating his season, what have we learned about Daniel Jones as a quarterback this year? That's the thing, where his rookie year, you learned that he's a guy, he's aggressive, but he makes mistakes, and he needs to fix those mistakes. Really, besides the turnovers, The second thing that you needed to learn from Daniel Jones, at least in my opinion, from somebody who checks numbers, is I actually thought that he needed to get a little bit better in terms of throwing the deep ball with a little bit more efficiency. Well, this year he's the most efficient deep ball passer in the National Football League. So he answered that one question. But besides that, what do we feel like we've learned? And that's the frustrating thing. That's a frustrating thing.
That's an unreal number, how bad that number is. And I get, Wayne Gallman has gotten some runs into one. But you got a guy who was on pace for the record, and now it's abysmal. 8 touchdowns in 12 games. There's no it's brutal. It's brutal. And I shared like the red zone stats where I couldn't find the Duke ones, but I know his senior year at Duke, he didn't throw any like interceptions. Or I think it was like 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rookie year, 12 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And then this year it's like 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, or whatever it is. It's I feel like we've wasted a year, and there's nothing that he has shown nothing this year, but I guess he's been efficient downfield. But if you just watched this year and you didn't have the rookie season, you'd be like, this guy sucks. And I don't blame, so that's why I don't blame people for being like, this guy sucks, even though the situation sucks. Well, my main thing is always going to be Garrett. Like, the receivers are the same receivers as last year. The O-line has been better than last year.
Better, definitely better.
So we've seen him do stuff with the exact same weapons, and it's just, I can't believe we wasted a year with this Garrett stuff.
It's very like Baker's situation, though. If you think about last year, you thought he was out of the league after following last year. Like, there were people like, oh, how did this guy go number 1? And then you give him a better offensive coordinator in Stefanski or coach, whatever. You give him a great offensive line that could run the ball, and look at him now. He's back to being very relevant. So
yeah,
I really think that you got to put a better system around this guy, and maybe a wide receiver 1/2, because Lord knows I don't even know if we have a wide receiver 2 at this point.
Yeah,
and you try again next year, and that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
it's just frustrating that we're still trying to evaluate this guy after
it is
a lot of starts and a lot of snaps, and we still don't know him. We still don't know what we've got yet.
I've got Craig muted in the corner. I'll send it to him, but it's just like if this was year 2 in a similar system, and it's like, oh my gosh, like he's actually like he's not taking the steps in the system, but it's just like we've made him not his game, and we've made this play not his game to the point where I'm just like, do they not like him? Does Joe Judge not like him? Like I have all this stuff in my mind of like, what the hell is going on? Craig, tell me what the hell is going on.
Well, it's kind of complicated actually, because the first thing you said that I wrote down as I was writing notes as you guys were talking was about the fumbling, right? So here's the way I look at the fumbles. It's like a boxer, okay? There are boxers who get hit in the jaw and get knocked out. And there's guys who get hit in the jaw that stand there. Jones is going to be a guy who gets hit in the face and he's going to fumble, right? That's kind of like his thing. Now, you said it doesn't bother you. So here's the difference. When you're a boxer, you don't want to get hit in the face. So if you don't want your quarterback to fumble, don't let him take a whole bunch of shots. It's just, if you think about it, if I know I got a glass jaw, the last thing I'm going to do is sit there and let myself get hit in the face. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like they don't scheme around it to the point where he's not getting hit 4 or 5 times a game. They already
Craig,
know.
That's a great point. And I'll let I'm interrupting. I'll let you finish, but that's a great point, because a lot of fans criticize Daniel Jones that he just holds onto the ball. Well, why is he holding onto the ball? Is it because he's just staring down his guy? Is it because he can't go through his progressions? I don't think that's the case. I think it's the case that just nobody's open. So especially when we're talking about last week, when a guy is hurt and when he's playing on one leg, plus for an entire quarter, he's playing on 1 foot and 1 leg because he had the ankle injury and the hamstring injury, plus combine the fact that nobody's open down the field with the limitations, what is there more for him to do? So keep going, Craig.
And like, why a 5-step drop? So he's got a bad wheel. You're asking him to do a 5-step drop and throw to guys that aren't open. And to kudos to you with that piece, and you're breaking down that these guys aren't open. And I'm looking for the stat, like 55%. It was
So it was the expected completion percentage was 55%. But what I think is more telling is the tight window percentage.
The tight window, 33%. 1 out of 3 receivers that he's throwing to aren't open.
Right.
So, like, the scheme, so I guess basically where I was going was there's a couple of things. It's a little complicated. One is I don't understand, like, what they're doing. Bobby, to your point, is like, if you know the guy's going to fumble when he gets hit, max protect him, okay? Or figure it out. Or don't drop him in a 5-step drop. The second part is what you ended last year. Remember you said, what is he? Last year, he threw 2 touchdown passes to Caden Smith at the end of the year, and we never saw Caden Smith again. Like, Caden
was his check down at the end of the year. And something I've noticed about Jones, his check, he is so much better at checking down when the check down's in the middle of the field. He's not the outside. At least not early on. He's not the see what's going on. Okay, I got to get my check down to the swing.
Like Deion Lewis last week.
Yeah. His check down is always, even at Duke, was always in the middle of the field.
Yep.
And that's where Caden was good last year. And now, like you said, we don't see him at all.
Yeah. And so that kind of, rolls into like the weapons, like you're right. I thought there was like, we talked about this with Tynes 3 weeks ago, was when we went from Tampa and the Eagles, and we were moving forward, he started to climb the pocket. And we were like, yes. He went from maybe a 1 progression to a 2 progression to a 3 progression. We were seeing it, right? We were like, look, he's scanning the field. Like, I just think Jeff actually said this last week, and I don't mean to pontificate and go on. I just don't think he's mentally strong. I hate to say that. I just sometimes I think he's so worried about making a mistake and having everybody hate him. I don't feel he's mentally tough because, okay, he's got a bad hamstring. It shouldn't affect his brain. Like, I just feel like I'm scared now. Like, stand in there and throw the ball. Like, you went to Duke, man. You're a cerebral guy. Don't throw it to Evan Ingram as he's coming across the field with a safety draped on him. Like, but he does anyway. So I think that the 2 systems back to back have hurt him. Like you said, they didn't hire a guy like Shermer. But if you change the system 3 times in 3 years, the guy's done. He'll never be able to operate with a third system.
But there's if you get him something similar to what he's done, like, yeah. I mean, look at like Baker, like, here's my, like, I got heat for liking Shermer last year, and my whole thing was like, yeah, there's some things I don't like about him, but it's like the rookie QB was on pace for the rookie touchdown record, like, yep. and he was the thing. Like, this year, it's like you get to look forward to watching the defense. Last year, I remember it's like, yeah, this team sucks, but I get to watch Jones all 22, and I love watching it and watching the beautiful throws and the aggressiveness and him not being afraid. And then you see him like the Cardinals game last year, like there's 8 sacks. I credited him for 4 of those. You saw the next game against the Lions, getting down to his checkdowns earlier, has a 4 touch. Like, you would see him learn from his mistakes. And then this year, it's just, and this is where my big talking point has been with Garrett, is like against the Eagles, he was basically perfect. Like basically perfect.
Jones was basically perfect.
Yeah, Jones was basically perfect.
Yeah, not Garrett, Jones.
And yeah, the running game worked well. The offensive line was blocking well. And we put up 27 points.
Yeah.
27 points. And, Dan Orlovsky said it the other day. He's like, for this offense to work well, he has to be perfect. And that's the issue, is like every mistake will now be highlighted, whereas in the other systems, like I did the defensive stream last night, and it's like I could point out 3-4 times Kyler missed a guy, which could have been a big play. But because the Cardinals are a functioning offense that plays to their strengths, you don't remember those. You don't remember those plays because you have all the other good things to look at. Where this year, it's like be perfect or we're done. And I feel like that's just a horrible situation to put anybody in.
You tweeted out something today about a play that, and I don't know if you saw it. I responded to you. I watched it like 5 times. Like our receivers run right into the defensive backs. Like they literally run right to them. Like, hey guys, I'm over here. And then like you start asking yourself like, what is Garrett doing? Because here's the thing that drives me crazy. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to, go off on a tangent, but did he not want to win Dallas? He came out with a flea flicker, a reverse, a rollout, because he wanted to beat Dallas. And then he threw it away. The creativity's gone. Why is it gone?
Yeah. And then Mayor Johnny Beat says, how about the Bucks? Robert, what's the excuse that game? It was his worst game of his NFL career. No excuse.
Happens.
Yeah, where's Robert?
Mayor Johnny Beats. He's
that was the mayor. Game he missed so many big shots and so many big throws.
I was so depressed after that game.
Because he could have beat Tom Brady. He could have changed the narrative of
he lost
so
that
much.
game.
There were so many big shots. There were a couple that I think Darius Slayton lost in the lights, and they just couldn't connect for a little bit. But there was reads that he missed where the guy was going up wide open like this, and you just see the receiver go like this after the play because he missed
it. Just confuses the hell out of him.
And that was the pairing missing those deep shots with, I think those 2 interceptions were the worst interceptions of his career.
Yeah,
they were so stupid.
Forced.
They were the dumbest interceptions. I was just like, what the heck?
Right.
I was like, what's going on? I had never had as little faith in him as that game. That was bad.
Bobby, we missed a super chat from good friend Joseph Clark.
Oh, sorry, Joseph Clark.
He loves
Joseph Clark says Jones pays 32, 16, and 19 with guys like Fowler. Yes, I've never used the O-line or the receivers as an excuse. Even early in the year when he was the most pressured QB in the NFL, I just it's never been an excuse for me. Obviously a number 1 wide receiver would obviously help. Having an O-line that gives him time obviously to help. But I've seen him do it without that, and that's where the whole Garrett thing's coming. But we're spending too much time debating the QB. Everybody's got an opinion, and it's probably not going to change from our conversation. Let's talk about something good.
Yeah.
Has been your guys' defensive player this year? Like everyone, it seems like everybody's got a different guy on this defense. Where there's Blake, Bradbury, Peppers, Logan Ryan, which is awesome, which feels so good. And I give Patrick Graham a ton of credit, but I also think it's like, you know what, this defense has playmakers like all over the field. The D-line is really good. We just don't have a pass rusher is really what it comes down to.
You bite your tongue. Yeah, you bite your tongue.
What happened? What'd I do?
Mr. Leo Williams, can we give the guy some credit? I know Dustin's going to be on this one.
A true edge rusher.
So I'll send it to Spiro. I'll start off with you again. Who's your guy on this defense? Sorry, we keep on getting glitchy, and I keep on talking over you guys.
That's all right, man. Well, listen, Leo Williams was my guy from when we got him from the Jets. Yeah, I was pissed off by the 3rd round pick, but dude, how many times are you going to get an inside pass rusher with 7+ sacks? Like you don't come across those often. And a guy that also is a beast against the run. Are you kidding me? Like this guy has been playing on an all-pro level, and it's just been fascinating to watch. And I'm just throwing it back in all the Jets fans' faces that have been, oh, he's not a pass rusher. Look at that 1.5 sacks last year. He was 1 second away from being a 5-sack guy last year. You got a better secondary, and look what happens. Half a sack turns into 8+. Oh, that's shocking. No, Leo Williams is my guy, man, and he's been an all-pro for us, and it all starts up front with him. And I know that the Dalvin Tomlinson, Leo Williams thing is back and forth, but to me, you got a game changer in Leonard Williams if he's playing like this. And I love Dalvin but for me, it's Leonard Williams, and he's got to stay, especially for what we gave up for him. Give him that money.
It's one of those things where, what do you prefer? Do you prefer a guy that is more dominant in the run game, or do you prefer a guy that is more dominant getting to the quarterback? And I think, frankly, you've seen this year the step in play that Leonard Williams has taken by himself. Dalvin Tomlinson, I think, has also taken a step up in his play too. I think Patrick Graham has personified everybody, but it's one of those things where do we really win that game without Leonard Williams in Seattle? Because while the secondary was really doing a great job covering guys downfield, you still need a guy to get home. You could say all that you want about, and this kind of comes from a PFF stemming of thought, how coverage is more of an indicator of how good your pass rush is rather than like natural pass rush talent, which Craig, I know you're making a face. But I partially do believe that, your how good your coverage is very much does play an impact of how many sacks you can get.
100%.
This is a league of coverage sacks. So I think Leonard Williams has just more of an impact on the team overall. So Spiro, I totally agree with kind of like your explanation and your player pick there.
These guys will tell you that. I mean, I don't want to take any credit because it's not what I'm here to do, but I've liked Martinez when he was with Green Bay, and the year that he had, like, when he wasn't a top 3 tackle guy and he was a top 5 tackle guy, it was because Graham was gone, right? I mean, and I sent a tweet out to him specifically, said, hey, Martinez, welcome to the Giants. This is the land of the linebacker. I'm like, I said, you've got big shoes to fill. And he liked it. And I was like, oh, cool. And Jeff will tell you, like, there are things. I mean, I'm a passionate guy. I wear my heart on my sleeve. there are just things I'm not giving the ghost up on. And I was like, don't you dare compare 96 tackles in Ogletree to this guy.
God.
I'm like, don't you dare. I'm like, there's stuff I'll concede to, there's stuff I won't to. I'm like, this guy is not coming because what was it, Justin? You know, the entire rap was you can't cover the tight end. He wasn't coming here to cover the tight end.
Yeah.
And he has been
Justin
as advertised. Yeah, as advertised. Like, I just love the fact that this guy literally tackles everything in front of him. Jeff, didn't the guy have the balls?
Ogletree part 2.
10 yards downfield?
Yeah. And
that aggravated me because one, Green Bay put him in they were playing the 49ers who run like 2 tight ends and a fullback every play. And they're like, here, we're going to play an extra DB on the field and have Blake Martinez doing it. Like, that was, I was like ripping my hair out the way they did that. And people are like, well, he has a lot of tackles downfield. It's like, yeah, when you're first place in tackles, some of them aren't going to be at the line of scrimmage every time. Yeah. Jeff, who's your guy?
I mean, I could honestly make a case for like 5 or 6 guys on defense, but I'll go Peppers just because the energy that this guy is playing with is so awesome, man. Like I tweeted it out, I think yesterday, that he loves football as much as any guy I've ever seen. Like, just the energy he has. He was mic'd up going against Fitzgerald in the Cardinals game, and it was absolutely awesome, the trash that they were talking to each other, but like respectful trash. And he gets hit, he gets up, he's like, nice hit, man. Like, he just loves football. He's playing great. I think I was looking for my hot take while you guys were going, because I write down the hot takes during our show.
Oh yeah.
A lot of them have been crossed out already too. Like McKinney becoming all pro as a rookie. Obviously that is not happening. That wasn't my take.
I like that. We need to start doing that, Justin.
Yeah, every week when someone says something way over the top, we're like, write it down.
I'm like, okay, I'm going to document that.
We have receipts.
But it's Peppers for me, man. I think his energy feeds off a lot of guys. I love Logan Ryan. I love a lot of guys back there, but I'm going Peppers for this argument.
I'm a Pep guy too. He flies he does everything. He'll get you a sack, a tackle for a loss in the run. He'll play deep safety if you need him to. He does everything. And like you said, he just well, he doesn't people hated on him for his punt returning, which I guess makes sense. Because a lot of times he's not doing it. But yeah, I love him. He plays all over the field. Like you said, he's just I have a type when it comes to football players. If you play fast, aggressive, and with instincts, I have a type. That's why I like Tay Crowder. That's why I like Nick Gates. Fast, aggressive, and with instincts, and don't look like you're second guessing yourself. Those have always been my types. And Jabril Peppers is like the living embodiment of that.
He's the kind of guy you just love to see in a Giants uniform.
Yeah,
like I want him to stay a Giant. I love that guy.
We call him Pepper Jack.
Nobody said the best player on the defense, though, in James Bradbury.
Oh, I know.
Listen,
he's
quiet. It's because he's quiet.
Yeah.
He's boring. James Bradbury's boring.
He is, which is fine. Be low key. Just do what you're doing.
Did he play this week?
Yeah.
He's great.
Watch Medicine. Thank you for the donation. Biggest what if? Herbert could have been a Giant. I don't know. Brett Favre could have been a Giant. We passed on him. I talk about that all the time.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing.
I do. I hate the what if game so much.
I hate it.
If Herbert declared in 20, people have a point here where, the Giants typically are an organization that does show their hand on some things. They showed their hand with Barkley. They showed their hand on Jones. So Gettleman was attending those Oregon not pro days, but he was attending Oregon games, and it was very much rumored that the Giants loved Herbert. So if he did declare, I can imagine that would be the case. But I'm happy. We're happy. We can't. Hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, Jones may be a little bit of a work in progress, and maybe it's a longer curve. But Herbert, I think he stayed in college for an admirable reason, right? Didn't he say he wanted to play with his brother?
He did say that.
Here's my thing. If
People hated Herbert, by the way. I don't like that revisionist history either. Everyone trashed Herbert about how he's overrated. He sucks. He's not basically all the things they said about Daniel Jones besides the arm strength. That's all. They all said the same things about Daniel Jones, and now everyone's talking about how great Herbert is.
Yeah, Herbert just something was weird about Herbert. This is probably the worst take that I've ever had, because usually I'm such write it down, because usually I'm such a person that's centered around numbers and looking at performance and things like that. I just said, there's just something about Herbert that he just doesn't have the it factor. And lo and behold, here I am. But also the thing about this is with any kind of example. I know Matt Barkley did this, Herbert did this, some other guys did this, another USC quarterback did this too. But
Matt Leinart
declining to go to the NFL draft, let's say after your junior year. I think that is the craziest thing.
Risky.
You are looking at a guaranteed contract of some $40-50 million. Obviously, it's reduced after Sam Bradford stays. I think he was the last quarterback to get the big contract. When you draft a guy number 1, you sign him to a very big deal where they limited everything. But still, you have guaranteed money just staring right at you, right in your face. And you're like, no, I'm going to bet on myself and not take it. That is risky. Like you said, Spiro, it's just so risky. I would never do that.
No.
How can
He
regressed. Not for me.
He regressed in his last year.
Yeah, he did.
So it's like he cost himself a couple of pennies because he probably would have went higher if he went out the year before.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that money level, they're not really caring.
Yeah.
Fair.
Who's next on your guys' want list for interviews?
Ooh. I've been trying to hound Ballard down, and I've been using like some psychological warfare because in the 2011 season when they won in New England, he caught the game-winning touchdown.
He had a helmet catch.
Yep. I was at the game in New England for that, and I took a picture of the ticket stub and I tweeted it at him. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, I was at the game. I saw you make the catch. Here's my ticket stub. I'm like, throw a guy a bone. Like, so I've been trying for Ballard because I really liked Ballard because when he went to Ohio State, they never threw him the ball. Like, I think he caught like maybe 40 catches in 4 years. And then he comes to the Giants and he caught everything. So I just think it's a cool story. I like guys with cool stories, like Stoiber's story, right? I mean, the guy breaks his leg, comes back. I mean, like he had everything, really cool. And these guys are all working on different guys. We tried Jumbo Elliott a little bit. Like some of them, I don't know. Jeff, who else are we working on? We try and. Did
you guys harass Stoibert about that pass interference in the 49ers game?
Oh, I know. We should have got after him on that.
I had it written. I always do the show notes, and I had a little asterisk down there. I didn't know.
It's a sore subject.
It is.
You nailed that, Justin. I wasn't sure if I was going to go from friend to foe if I brought that up.
I interviewed Brandon Jacobs a couple years ago on another show I did, but I was very brand new and not wanting to take any chances with interviews. But I really wanted to be like, hey, what's going through your head when you throw a helmet into the Colts stand? I really wanted to ask him that. So if we ever do interview him again, I promise I'm going to ask him that.
Oh my God!
All right. And if I ever get him, I'll have to ping you, and you could jump in.
he was the hardest. I went back and forth for a month of trying to figure out a time to interview him, and we'd set up a time, and then I'd try and call him, and he wouldn't answer. He was brutal, but when we did get him on, he was a good interview.
Yeah.
Who's on your wish list, Jeff?
Victor Cruz is my ultimate undrafted kid from Patterson. I mean, that's my ultimate. He's probably too big for us, but I would go him. I'll shoot my shot though. I mean,
Addison. That's how he says it.
Addison. I mean, he's my ultimate. He's my guy. He's probably my favorite Giant. I don't know. Anybody who interacts with me, I'd take a shot. Justin Tuck posted a picture of him golfing the other day, and I was like, dude, you're a lefty? And he responded. He was like, yeah. And I'm like, damn, if I knew you were going to respond, I would have asked a much cooler question than are you lefty? How dumb is that? But I'll just ask anybody. Peter Schrager interacted with me a couple of weeks ago, so I took my shot with him. He's on Good Morning Football.
Some of these guys have they like the current players, they're not allowed to talk to us,
No, especially with this new Patriot way.
Oh, yeah. I know.
That too, yeah. You're not going to get any current players.
Spiro, you were working on somebody. You made some headway with.
Yeah. Brandon London, I was trying to get him in because he's pretty connected with the team. I was looking to get him in. And another sneaky guy I was working on is Mob Brashaw. I feel like he doesn't get any public love, but the guy was an integral part of our 2 Super Bowl wins. So I want to hear from my man. About the Marshall days, maybe about the Marshall days. No, we're not going to talk about Marshall. No, we're just going to talk about. We're just going to talk Giants. We're just going to talk.
Bob Papa's one of Bob Papa's one of my favorite calls ever was the rookie out of Marshall.
Oh my God!
Let's run the Giants into the postseason.
Yep.
That's one of my favorites.
Justin, who's yours? We talk for like an hour every day. Who's like your guy for this offseason that you're trying to get?
Man, well, we were actually talking about this the other night, Bobby. But OC was my favorite Giant growing up. I made a video this offseason of when I was doing some Giants history stuff, and I actually gave him the nickname as a 12-year-old in MetLife Stadium because I had me and my father, we've had regular season tickets since the year after we won the Super Bowl in 2008. And 2012, that was his 2010 season where he tied the NFL record for most forced fumbles in a single season at 12, I think. So I gave him the nickname the Stripper at 12 years old. I gave him the nickname.
You've always been ahead of your time.
I've always been ahead of my time. Thank you, Jeff. So I would love to interview him. I love people's voices. So I don't know if this is a coincidence. I think Kevin Zeitler has the best radio voice on the Giants team right now, and we interviewed him last year. Like I could just like Morgan Freeman, just like voice on a beach. I can just listen to his voice. And OC, it's like a mix of being from overseas in the UK and also from Nigeria. So that accent, I think it's a beautiful accent. So I would love to talk to him and then re-listen to the episode 75 times.
Yeah, he comes across as kind of what you guys were saying about Peppers. OC reminds me of a guy who really loves life. I mean, he's got a passion for what he does, and it just I always love watching that interaction between Strahan and him when Strahan says, "You'll be better than me. You'll be better than me," and kind of like they're kind of getting a little emotional between each other. Like
OC didn't know how to take that. He didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah. OC just seems like a really fun cat. I think if you guys get him, that'll be one for the books because he seems like he's probably got a world of knowledge, but he just seems like he's not pretentious and for a big star, that would be great. That would be pretty cool. What about you, Bobby? Who's your short list?
Shockey.
Nice.
I love Shockey. Shockey was my favorite player.
Oh yes.
It's because you look like him.
Yeah, similar hair.
Miami guy. He's nuts though. So I can see me like asking a question and like thinking it's funny, and him
he's a wild card,
and him just like cursing me out. So
right.
But I would love to hear Shockey and hear him unfiltered, and because he was just a wild card. He was nuts. I would love to get unfiltered Shockey.
Can't disagree with that one.
So Bobby, when my dad turned 60, I bought him an autographed Shockey helmet in a glass box because my dad loves tight ends, and like Justin,
that he does.
My dad's had season tickets since 1968. So we always been going to the games, and my dad loves tight ends. So always talk about tight ends, right? So I'm like, throw the tight end the ball. My dad would say, just throw the tight end the ball. When Shockey came, my dad was like, oh, this guy's different. So we always had a love. We always had a love for Shockey. We always had a love. That Brandon Short story will always go down. Take a limo all the way to the stadium, fight Brandon Short at lunchtime. Shockey was awesome.
On team now, people are in the chat are saying Logan Ryan. I think Logan. I mean, you see it with his interviews with just the media. He's personable. He's fun. You could tell you could get him to start making fun of people on the team. And then Slayton's Slayton seems like a cool dude.
He's cool.
Who likes to joke around on people too.
Right.
Logan Ryan has been a great interview. Any clips I hear of him, that guy's awesome. He's so intelligent. Logan Ryan. He's just such a team guy. I love every interview I hear of him.
These guys are mad at me because I said he's gone. He's not coming back.
He said he's testing free agency.
I don't mean that sarcastically.
No, it's realistic.
I just don't see him coming back with McKinney sitting there.
Yeah.
Can't pay
That's
everybody.
the thing is every guy that's a free agent, you kind of have the replacement there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Where hell, even Leonard's we got BJ Hill. Doesn't mean they're nowhere near at the same level, but there you got BJ Hill. Logan Ryan, you got McKinney. Zeitler, you got Lemieux and Hernandez now. It's what are they doing with that? With Craig, I know me and you we disagree on the Hernandez Lemieux thing, but do you guys think, like, I don't know what they're going to do with that, because you can't go into next year with Hernandez on the bench, even if you don't like him. No. You can't go into next year with him on the bench. So to me, it's they either trade him or they move on from Zeitler.
But what's Hernandez's trade value at this point? Like, Zeitler's is way higher.
A team would trade for an O-lineman. Yeah, people want O-lineman.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, Zeitler to Hernandez, like, you're going to get way more for Zeitler because he's a proven vet that he's done it for way longer.
But he's older.
Had a bad game on Sunday too.
Yeah, but he's still only 31. It's not that old. You know, in my opinion, Zeitler's going to get you more, and his salary is way more. So you want that off the books so you could sign these big defensive guys back.
Justin, well, wait, Hank. Well, Spiro, if they keep, aren't they going to? And I was going to kind of ask Justin if he knew. Like, Spiro? Don't you want to get rid of Zeitler for some of that money to go to your boy Leo?
I was preaching that early in the season, and I got killed for it because he was one of the most consistent guys at that time, Zeitler. But you want to free up that $10 million, man. You do, and you take your chances with Lemieux and Hernandez, two rookies, man. I mean, two young guys.
I'm scared to move on from a good offensive lineman.
I get it.
I'm scared, but when I do look at this stuff, and it's like, if we want to keep this defense intact,
right,
you might have to. You know, as hard as that would be.
Draft another guard.
I could see myself regretting it at week 5 next year, but like, somebody has to go, and it can't simply just be Golden Tate and Nate Solder if they want to keep these guys.
And the thing is as Giants fans, I feel one of the main critiques that we've had, Bobby, I even think this is something that you've uttered as off seasons have kind of gone on, or even towards trade deadlines, when we get to trade deadlines and Giants fans are like, all right, let's trade Engram, let's trade Dalvin Tomlinson, let's trade this guy, let's trade that guy. The Giants as a franchise are searching for good football players. So we should be doing everything imaginable to keep those good football players on the team. Now, the good thing about the offensive line is that, Bobby said you have options. This is even an option, even though you love Nick Gates at center. Nick Gates could slide over to guard if you want to sign a center in free agency.
That's true.
If you want to draft a center, or even if you want to draft another guard, let's say. But out of all of those guys, like, if we need to have a cap casualty that we don't want to do, like, Tate is an obvious one. Solder after June 1st, I think there's some funky things going on there. I think Solder is kind of an obvious one. But if there are guys that we need to keep that we really want to keep, maybe like a Dalvin, a Leo, Logan Ryan, etc., I would feel most okay with sacrificing Kevin Zeitler for the sake of, we have Gates as flexibility, allowing Lemieux to develop more, and allowing Hernandez, saying, Hernandez, you are our guy. You need to be our leader at guard, and be that staple on that left side. So,
yeah, I'm hard on him, but Bobby's got a great point. Like, it's really hard to move on from young, experienced linemen, whether I like him or not. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think, right?
It's just there's too much invested for him to start. Like, you can't go into the year like he's a bench player. It's either you start him or you trade him. There's no in between with Hernandez next year.
Yeah, because I think, to Justin's point, this team right now needs Leonard Williams. And if you look at our track record, whether it's Cofield or Linval Joseph or Hankins, we have a history of letting defensive tackles go. And I'm not picking sides. I think, Bobby, you always say it like, hey, I'm giving you the facts. I'm not giving you an opinion. The facts are that the Giants aren't ever tied to their defensive tackles that they draft, which would lead you to believe, if history repeats itself, which it does, is that, Tomlinson could be the odd man out.
I mean, there's 3 weeks left in the season, and Dalvin doesn't have an extension. He may. I mean, that might just tell the story right there.
And that's not like the Giants, by the way. That's not like the Giants, where I think some, not to. I was about to say, some of you might know better than me because you're on. I don't want to give an older joke. Okay,
no, Craig's old. It's okay.
I'm old right here. It's fine.
But I think some of you guys might be able to speak to this more than I can. Giants typically don't let important players, and I think Dalvin Thompson is an important player. He's not like a premier wide receiver one, but they usually don't let those guys go on the last play on the last year of their deals.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
Yeah, I I mean, I don't know how we got on that topic, but Leonard Williams is a must. Like he's the number one must. I love Logan Ryan. I mean, Jeff over there, I'll tell you, Jeff, you buying a jersey and what's it going to say on the back?
Oh, it's Ryan, number 23, whether he stays or goes, because I'll wear that the rest of my life either way.
You know, so his son, he had a baby. He named him Ryan. It fits. So that's why he's not getting much sleep these days. But yeah, I mean, we've all talked about it. Like Leonard, this is the most fun we've had in a long time watching this defense, and Leonard Williams needs to stay.
For sure. All right,
Jeff, so what day was he born on? Wait, hold on. This is an important question.
It was the day after Thanksgiving. The water actually broke on Thanksgiving night because our last name, Pilgrim, we get a lot of Thanksgiving jokes. He tried. The water broke on Thanksgiving.
Beautiful.
And he was born at like 10 a.m. the next day.
Oh, I love that.
What's his name again?
Ryan John.
Now this is where Justin will get out of me. You guys were talking for the last minute, and I was writing the subscribe to their channel and getting your link. I thought you guys were talking about Logan Ryan's kid, so I just totally brushed over that.
So you know, Jeff had they had a baby boy, and he's saying I'm getting the Logan Ryan jersey regardless if he stays or not.
So I'm just like, all right, well, that's where we're gonna end it, and I just like totally brushed because I have it copied and pasted now. Subscribe to their channel with their link.
Bobby's like, why the hell would Logan Ryan get a Logan Ryan jersey?
I just wasn't even listening to what you guys were saying. I was just
oh man,
Justin knows this about me. I'm a bad listener. I have to. It's not natural to me. I have to all right, listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what they're saying.
Multitasking over there.
I could be like giving my heart and soul over my life story and the adversity that I overcame in my young life. And then Bobby Skinner could just be over here like,
I'm sorry, you've been talking to me this whole time?
I was wondering if the word, when you were talking about OC, when you said stripper, if that was going to grab his attention. That didn't grab his attention.
No, well, I've heard that story before a few times.
I'm sure, yeah.
All right, man. I love you guys. I'm glad we finally got you on. Putting the link in the chat now. Make sure to subscribe to their channel. They do a weekly podcast. And you guys are all great follows on Twitter as well. You guys are insightful. I like your stuff, Craig. Since I've been doing this, I've been following Craig, Jeff and Spiro. I've, recently, I guess that's been probably a year or so since I started, following you guys. And then you guys, like Michael Stewart, he's good. Your other guys. I will say, Michael, sometimes he does. I'll just make a joke, and Michael will be like, "Bobby, you're wrong about this."
He's the old wise one. He doesn't get the joke sometimes. But he's our guy, man.
I love him. But I think
he balances us out. He's necessary.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this statement. I've been doing this for with Bobby. I've been doing this with John Fennelly forever, right? And I think the funniest thing I ever said to Jeff was, Jeff, Michael Stewart's been with me for 6 years and he still doesn't follow me on Twitter.
That's fun. That's good.
Yeah, Michael's he's a little serious, but you get to know him. He's a good guy.
No, yeah, I like Michael. He's good. So appreciate you guys. Like I said, if you're on the Periscope, you see all the ads. Go follow them, guys. YouTube, subscribe to their channel. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate you.
Yeah,
thanks for having us, man. Love you guys,
man.